Hi, I'm Jackie, and I'm here to help you pass your U.S. naturalization interview. A lot of you have asked me, what are the most asked questions during the naturalization interview? While every application is different, I've compiled a list of the top questions based on real feedback from applicants. Are you ready? Let's go. Why do you want to become a U.S. citizen? Have you thought about why you want to become a U.S. citizen? Most people answer, because I want to vote. And that's a great response. Other answers could be, I believe in the form of government of the United States, because of the rights and freedoms Americans enjoy, I want to travel without restrictions, something along those lines. What did you swear? Usually the officer will swear you in before the interview. The officer will say something like, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Your answer should be yes. Here's a common mistake. Some applicants think they're swearing to be loyal to the United States. That's not right. You're not a U.S. citizen yet, so you don't have to swear to be loyal to the United States at this point. During the interview, you are swearing to tell the truth. The promise to be loyal to the United States happens during the oath ceremony. So make sure you don't get those mixed up. In the beginning, you swear to tell the truth. Later on, during your oath ceremony, you swear to be loyal to the United States. If you're applying under marriage-based, you might be asked this question. Have you been living with your spouse for the past 3 years? To meet the requirements, you must have lived with your U.S. citizen spouse throughout the process until the oath ceremony. I recommend bringing supporting documents such as joint tax return transcripts, rental agreements, mortgage statements, phone bills, utility bills, or insurance bills showing the same address. If you have children, the officer might ask you the following questions. How many children do you have under the age of 18? With the new N-400 form, you only need to mention children under 18. They also might ask, do your children reside with you? This means if your children live with you. Are you providing support for them? If your children live with you, of course you're providing support, and you don't need to show any documentation for that. However, if they don't live with you, make sure to show proof of child support, such as proof of monthly payments. Not paying child support is a serious issue and could result in your application being denied for lack of good moral character. What's your children's relationship to you? This question is not asking, how's your relationship with your children, which could be good or bad on any day. And that's a bit personal. This question is asking if they are your biological children, your stepchildren, or your adopted children. Sometimes the officer might not ask the questions exactly like the ones on the N-400 form. For example, did you register to vote in the presidential election? This is related to Part 9, Question 2 on your N-400 application. The actual question states, have you ever registered to vote or voted in a federal, state, or local election in the United States? The answer should be no. You shouldn't register to vote or vote for any federal, state, or local election in the U.S. before you become a U.S. citizen. Then the officer could ask, why didn't you vote in any of the U.S. elections? That's a tricky question, huh? You can say, because I'm not a U.S. citizen yet, but hopefully soon. Do you currently owe any overdue federal, state, or local taxes in the United States? This is a very important question. The focus should be the word currently. Do you currently owe? Which means at the time of the interview. It's fine if you've owed taxes in the past as long as they're paid off. Remember, filing and paying taxes is one of the indicators to show that you have good moral character, which is one of the requirements to become a U.S. citizen. So it's important not to owe any taxes before your interview. However, if you do owe taxes and don't have the ability to pay them off, don't panic. What you need to do is to make sure you have an IRS payment plan in place and bring the IRS payment plan and proof of payments to show that your account is up to date. Since you became a lawful permanent resident, have you called yourself a non-resident alien on a federal, state, or local tax return, or decided not to file a tax return because you considered yourself to be a non-resident? This is related to Part 9, Question 4 on your application. If you consider yourself to be a non-resident alien on your tax returns, you don't have to pay certain taxes, such as state taxes. At the same time, you might not be eligible to apply for U.S. naturalization. So the answer for most of you should be no. And the reason is because you are a permanent resident and have been living here in the U.S. Can you show me your tax return transcripts, please? With the new N-400 form, you only need to bring your tax return transcripts if you're applying under marriage-based, you've spent extended time outside of the U.S., or you currently owe taxes. Also, you need to bring your tax return transcripts, not your giant tax return. You can request them for free from the IRS website. Do you believe in religious freedom? It's important to pay attention to the officer. This question is the opposite of the question on your N-400 application, which is on Part 9, Question 7F. That question states, have you ever ordered, incited, called for, committed, assisted, helped with, or otherwise participated in not letting someone practice their religion? Remember, freedom of religion is one right in the First Amendment of the U.S. Constitution, and it means you can practice any religion or not practice a religion. So the easiest way to answer this is, I believe in religious freedom and always let others practice their religion. Did you register for the Selective Service? First, on your interview notice, under You must bring the following with you to the interview, one of the documents is any evidence of Selective Service registration. This is only applicable to male applicants. Almost all men ages 18 to 26 living in the U.S. are required to register with the Selective Service. If you didn't register for the Selective Service, make sure to check out this video. The next few questions are extremely important because they are related to the Oath of Allegiance. I want to make sure you completely understand them. Do you support the Constitution and form of government of the United States? The answer should be a firm yes. Say it confidently too. What is the form of government of the United States? This is another commonly asked but unofficial question that you should know the answer to. The simple answer is republic. Now, don't confuse that word with Republican. Republic is a form of government, and Republican is one of the major political parties in the U.S. What is the Constitution? Do you remember that question on the civics test? What is the supreme law of the land? The Constitution. So the Constitution is the supreme law of the land. Do you understand the full Oath of Allegiance to the United States? The Oath of Allegiance to the United States is what you need to recite during the oath ceremony, and it's the last step before you officially become a U.S. citizen. So you need to fully understand it, and the answer to this question should be yes. Make sure to check out this video if you want to know what happens during the oath ceremony. What are you promising when you take the oath of allegiance? The answer to this is a promise to be loyal to the United States. Are you unable to take the oath of allegiance because of a physical or developmental disability or mental impairment? Be careful with this question, especially if you're asking someone else to fill out the form. For most of you, the answer is no. Are you willing to take the full oath of allegiance to the United States? The answer should be yes, I'm willing to. If the law requires it, are you willing to bear arms on behalf of the United States? This question is asking if you're willing to use a gun to defend the United States during a war. The answer should be yes, I'm willing to. If the law requires it, are you willing to perform non-combatant services in the U.S. Armed Forces? Non-combatant services are services that do not engage in fighting during a war. So you're not carrying a gun. This question is asking if you're willing to assist the U.S. Armed Forces in a non-fighting role during a war. The answer should be yes, I'm willing to. Can you give me an example of non-combatant services that you can perform? Can you think of any examples? Some good examples are cooking for the soldiers, nursing or anything medical. Translation is another good one. If the law requires it, are you willing to perform work of national importance under civilian direction? Work of national importance under civilian direction are tasks that are important to a nation during a crisis, such as an earthquake or a hurricane. This question is asking if you're willing to help out the country during a disaster if the government asks you to. The answer should be yes, I'm willing to. Can you give me an example? A good example will be helping the Red Cross to distribute water after an earthquake. A final tip: before your interview, review your application to ensure everything is accurate. If you need to update anything, let the officer know at the start of your interview. That's it for today. Preparing for your interview doesn't have to be stressful if you know what to expect. Need more tips? Check out my other videos for help with studying and practice questions. I'll see you there. Good luck.